Let's take a quick look at how we close interventions. To begin with, all interventions need to be closed at the end of the school year. To do this, you just simply, when you're on the home page, click on the Programs, Plans, and Interventions button right there in the middle. This will bring you into the class view. You might need to click the down arrow to get your class with the student in it that has an intervention in place. So you just select your class by clicking the down arrow. When your class comes up, you'll notice that you have all your student lists here, and then you'll have over here in this far right column all your tiered interventions, tier 1, tier 2, and all these numbers here. These numbers over here just signify interventions that have been created. This doesn't mean they're open or they're closed or anything like that. It's just ones that have been created this year for that student. So when you see the student you need to go in and close their intervention for, you just click on their last name, and this will take you into their student e-file. In their student e-file, you'll see their current years and the interventions they have in place. So we're going to click on the general education support, that's where our interventions are at, and click on the current school year. So this will take us into the interventions portion. Right down there, you see in section C is this intervention we have in place. You can see for the student here, we have a math intervention in place. We started it. We just do not have an end date, so we need to put an end date on it here for the end of the school year. You just simply click on Edit, and it opens up the intervention. This should look really familiar because this is the same place where we created the intervention. Before we go right to outcome and close it, if you have any kind of documentation that you need to attach to this or add to help next year's teacher out, any kind of Word documents or PDFs or anything like that, Excel files, you just attach those electronic documents. It's really simple to do. You just click on Attachments and then Add Attachment. And then when it brings up this screen, you just hit select right here to upload a file, and it goes right to your drives, and you can find any file or any folder you have on your computer that has that information on it that you need to attach. You just select it, hit open, and it'll add it right to it. Once you have everything you needed added to this, then it's time to close it. We just simply click on the outcome tab, which will close it. We put a date in. You could put the current date. You could put the last day of school's date. Just you put your date in there. You give it an outcome. This is a choice of was it very successful all the way down to not successful, and then other things down here that we have added in. We're just going to say very successful on this one. The next area is total hours. You do not need to put anything in the total hours there if you don't want to, so you can just leave that one blank. The last part, and probably the most important, is the outcome narrative. This is where you're going to give next year's teacher a little insight about how this worked with that student. Is this a good place to start up next year right off the bat with that student? It's just giving that teacher a heads up on interventions that were in place with this student at the end of last year. Kind of gets them out of the gate and successful and on their way with the student at the first of next year. So you just give a brief narrative right there telling this next year's teacher if this is a good place to start, or maybe start here, or things like that. Just give them information that'll help them be successful at the first of the year. And when you're done with that, you just simply click save and you're finished. So now we can see down here in section C, we had our start date, now we have an end date, and also it gives us an outcome of a VS for very successful, and we're finished. If we need to go in and edit that, we just click edit, go right to outcome, and we can edit anything we put in there. So that's how we close an outcome, do an outcome, and close an intervention. Pretty simple process.